Today on the Art Creative Podcast, I'm really thrilled to welcome Miranda Anderson. She's a powerhouse of talent and passion, and she turned her childhood love of photography into a full-time career. In this episode, she's going to share her inspiring journey from shooting her first wedding as a second photographer to creating a thriving business rooted in genuine client connections, and her fearless approach to creativity. In this episode, Miranda's going to dive into the lessons that she's learned along the way, from setting boundaries with clients to investing in herself through destination shoots. If you're a photographer ready to elevate your craft and make your mark, Miranda's story and her insights are definitely going to resonate with you. Miranda, welcome to the Art Creative Podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. It's a beautiful day in Vancouver, and I'm excited to speak to you. We're almost just under 2 months away now from the experience. Arc is back, and you're one of the speakers. So I wanted to hop on and just kind of dig into a bit of your background, your story, and to share with our audience who are coming, and maybe anyone else who's listening, just a bit more about yourself and your journey. I'd love to start at the beginning. How did you get into wedding photography, and what led you to where you are now?
Okay, I love this question. Lots of people ask me when I started photography, and I literally don't have a specific day. I have loved taking photos since I was like 5 years old. My grandpa gave me my first camera when I was like 8 years old, and I was like always obsessed with taking photos of people. Like I was like very creative. I was always the one taking photos for my family, of my friends. Fast forward to high school, I'm like, Instagram has just started. I'm like taking photos of all of my friends. I like saved up for the Canon T3i, and it was like the craziest thing ever. I was so stoked. And in high school, I actually got like accidentally put into the video program, and I didn't initially even want to be in there, but I kind of fell in love with like creating and telling stories. So I was actually in the video program in my high school for like 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And I was very, very into it. I was making documentaries, music videos. I like filmed TEDx. Like it was like this whole thing. I loved it so much. I did like film festivals, but it was never like a full-time thing. I also like played soccer. I was super busy with everything else. And then, okay, wow, I guess I'm really going into this whole story.
See, good. This is great.
I was going to go to film school at Capilano University because I never thought photography would ever be a thing for me. I think a few people paid me $100 for a shoot here and there for grad photos. I had just started an Instagram for fun, just posting like my friends' prom photos. Like that was it. And I was also going to play soccer. I tore my ACL. So then I was like,
oh, wow.
Okay, I don't know if I was going to university just to play soccer, to like do film. I was like, I kind of reevaluated everything. I also felt like my world was crumbling down. And so then I decided to switch gears. I went to U of V. I studied business and marketing. And at the same time, I had a job doing like media photos for like a local clothing company. And I really loved it. They kind of like saw I had an eye for photos. Honestly, I don't know really why they trusted me. I was like a 17-year-old girl doing like photos for their website and stuff. And then from posting those photos, a photographer reached out to me and said like, hey, I really need help at weddings. Can you come second shoot for me? Like your prom photos kind of look like wedding photos. And I was like, sure, why not? I had literally never been to a wedding in my life. I just like had no idea. I just went in the deep end, and I literally fell in love with it. I literally have a vivid core memory of doing the wedding party photos and being like, I cannot believe people get paid to do this. Like, this is the best day ever. And I was like, this is literally what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I knew 100% right away, and I was obsessed. And the girl was like, okay, you did a pretty good job. Do you want to just come back for the rest of the summer and like second shoot with me? And I was like, yes, I do. So I second shot like 30 weddings before I even had my own wedding. And at that point, I was like so confident to shoot my own wedding, and kind of just went from there. That's my very long-winded story of how I got here.
I love that. That's really great. And I have so many questions. I'm going to have a few quick, simple ones. What position did you play when you played soccer? What was your
I was
position?
center mid.
Center mid. Okay, nice. And what camera did your granddad gave you a camera? Do you still have that camera? Do you still shoot with it at all?
I don't think I still have it, but it was the Nikon D70, Nikon D80. I know I had such a hard time using it, but it was like trying to use like the manual controls at first. And then I saved up every single penny I had to get the Canon T3i. And it was like crazy, life-changing. I filmed like so many videos on there. And yeah.
Nice. How much video do you still do? Do you do any video?
None. Absolutely none. I fully respect videographers, but I would not want to do it anymore. I would just do it like literally for fun travel videos or anything like that.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you second shot 30 weddings before you started your own business, and that gave you a lot of confidence. What would you say to like younger photographers who are out there who are shooting weddings or want to get into weddings but don't necessarily have many weddings under their belt? What would you say to them to kind of get their confidence up
in the door? Yeah, I would say second shooting weddings, even for multiple different photographers, taught me so much, because I would see something, I'd be like, okay, actually I won't do that. Or like I learned so many different things. And like I always, when I was second shooting, I was working my butt off. I was working so hard. And like if I had time while we're eating dinner just to ask them a couple questions, I would like get that in. But I never wanted to feel like I was like using another photographer for content in any way. It was like I was just trying to make like genuine connections and just like work hard and like just really improve my skills. Like being a second photographer, it's like you're able to be more risky because you're the second. And like that's still what I tell my second photographers today. I'm like, be so creative. I'm here to get the safe shots, like go all out. And so honestly, like trying to work with as many photographers as you can and like learning what you like and what you don't like will like get you so far.
Yeah, that's major key. You start realizing that, okay, this is my style. This is what resonates with me. And I, like you mentioned, I really don't want to do that. I'm gonna leave that out. This is how I would do it for my own wedding day. That's awesome. So with that being said, how would you describe now your style and your work?
Yeah, it's evolved so much over time, discovering exactly what I like. I would say it's like elevated, true to life photography mixed with documentary style and a bit of editorial. So that's a big, kind of a lot mixed in, but like really I just say to my clients is like, I'm elevating what I see in front of me. And it's like true to life. I'm documenting your day as it is, but also making it look beautiful and amazing.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And that's not a word that you hear quite often described in somebody's style, right? You hear documentary a lot, you hear candid, and hear a lot about moments, but hearing the word elevated it really brings something quite fresh to how you're describing your wedding photography. And I definitely see that in your work, which is awesome.
Thank you.
Sweet. So then over the years, because did you start 6 years ago? When was that wedding that you...
Yeah, I think it was in 2019 was like the first wedding I did. So yeah, 6 years ago now. Just crazy.
Yeah. Awesome. And then what would you say then has been kind of some of the risks that you might have taken over the years that have helped you kind of define who you are as a photographer? Has there been anything over the years that you felt has been a pretty risky move but has paid off?
Okay, this is such a good question because I feel like when I started, I knew there was no other option. To me in my head, it wasn't a risk because I knew it was going to work out. And I know that's like so crazy to like say, but like I just didn't think of anything else as an option. I did have like the other job working for a clothing company. It was remote. I went from full-time to part-time at home. And then it got to a point where I was in school. I was working like 2 jobs. I also filmed like live sporting events, which is a whole other thing. But it got to a point where I was like turning down photography opportunities I really didn't want to be. And then I was like, I just know like this is meant for me. So I eventually like quit my jobs. I still stayed in school. And then I eventually also dropped out of school because I just felt like I'm in this position. This is exactly what I want to be doing. Thinking about it now, though, I would say most recently, maybe a couple years ago, I started investing into destination wedding photography. And for me, it's really important to show like my potential to my clients and to show like what I'm capable of doing. And so I like invested in trips. I invested in setting up styled shoots in destinations I wanted to shoot at. And it's definitely paid off. Like my first destination style shoot I did was in Banff, like 3 years ago now, actually.
Yeah.
And since then, I've shot there so many times, and that shoot kind of grew my business so much. And then from there, I did some in Europe and in Mexico, and it's just kind of grown from there. But it's definitely a risk to like take time off, invest that money and that time into setting up the style shoot that like may also get you nowhere. Yeah, but it will pay off, and like things pay off also over a period of time, and you're still going to see the results from it still so far.
Yeah, it's just that interest, I guess, like money in the bank, it compounds over time and it just keeps giving back. I love that. What was it about, would you say, that particular style shoot that made you want to take that risk and do it? Because a lot of photographers kind of rely on the weddings that they get or the inquiries that they get. But what made you want to do that particular style in that specific location?
Totally. I knew that like I didn't want to just like stay in my comfort zone and stay in Vancouver. I am someone who I love to travel, and I'm also like most inspired shooting in new places. I feel like I would almost get bored shooting in the same venues over and over again. And I just thought like, what a cool way would it be to like connect with other people in different places, shoot in like really amazing places. That's what like gets me going. That is what gets me inspired and excited. So I knew I was always obsessed with Banff. And so that was like my first. I did it at Marine Lake, sunrise shoot. I also think like you can make your styled shoots look like they're real shoots, like clients already took you there. And it almost like makes it easier for clients to be like, okay, so if someone did this with her, then they can do it with me too.
Yes.
And yeah,
they can picture themselves in those images, and then the style, it hits the nail on the head, and that's what they want, which leads to bookings, which is awesome. One thing that I'm getting is I love that you knew that this is exactly what you want to be doing, so you were all in, right? And there's a lot of photographers who maybe start off and do some photography on the side, and they want it to be their whole thing, but haven't yet taken that leap of faith and gone all in. What would you say to somebody who is shooting a lot of weddings, but they haven't yet quite got the courage to go all in? Like, what difference would it make if they did go all in? And what would you say to that photographer?
Right. I think people know when you're all in versus when you're not. And it's so evident in just like your presence or like your social media even. It's like people know when you are fully invested in this, or if you're kind of like just dipping your toes in. And if I always look at it, it's like I'm going to go hire a wedding photographer. I want to see that they have recently posted on Instagram and they haven't posted a year ago. And like, I'm like, oh, are they up to date? Are they even still in business type of thing? It does take a lot of courage to go full time, but it definitely pays off. And when you have no other option, you will always figure it out. Basically having that push under your feet and just being like, okay, we are doing this. There's no other option. You will always figure it out. I think the biggest thing is just being consistent. And if you feel like you aren't getting consistent bookings, set up a styled shoot so it looks like you are being consistent, and it will just keep going on from there.
Totally. I feel like this is a good segue to go into your workshop, actually, that you're doing at ARC. Could you tell the audience a bit about your style shoot? Because I know that's what you're doing at ARC. You have a few seats left. A lot of them have gone. I think there's only about 3 seats left. So what would you say to somebody who's interested in in that shoot?
Totally. So I think it's a really good opportunity. One, for photos for your portfolio, that like never hurts. But I'm also taking it as like showing how I approach my relationship with my clients, how I make them feel comfortable, and like how I'm posing them in different lighting, and how I just like my entire approach to shoots. I think it can be like applied with like almost anything, like couple shoots, engagement shoots, wedding shoots, and things like that. And I think it will just like help your confidence with so many other photographers. I know personally, if I see someone doing something right in front of me and I see that it works, I will be so much more confident to go do it by myself. And I think it's so important when your clients see that you're confident posing them, that they will become confident. Like your energy is just contagious. And so I think it's like such a good opportunity to see that, to be creative, ask questions, and build photos for your portfolio as well.
100%. And so they can use any of the photos as they wish from that shoot in their portfolio or Instagram and stuff like that, right? So yeah, amazing.
I want them to.
Did you do any similar workshops when you first started out in 2019 or before, or how did you learn back then?
That's a great question. I actually didn't do any workshops, but I did set up styled shoots. And I think the thing with styled shoots is it can't just be anything. It can't just be anyone. It has to be so aligned with your vision. And I know I think I've just done a handful, but each styled shoot I did on my own is I knew I wanted to have full control over it, because this is my branding. These are going on my Instagram, on my website. And I really wanted, my mentality is I'm setting up the styled shoot and I would want to do it again with real life people. And so I'm setting it up with like a couple I connect with. They're in outfits I would want to shoot again, in like the hair and makeup done, the florals and everything. And so, yeah, also second shooting as well helped like with my portfolio so much. Like that was so valuable. But I think just like having full control of doing your own styled shoots is like a game changer, because it's showing exactly what you want to be doing.
Yeah, I love that. You've set the intention that this is what I want to do again. So it's that whole shooting showing what you want to shoot, putting that out there is super key. And then you mentioned you did 30 weddings, second shooting with various photographers. So, and then they in themselves are mini workshops, because you're learning from somebody and it's a live event. It's happening literally, and the stakes are higher in that sense, but you learn so much more quicker, and you're fully invested in, and you knew that that's what you wanted to do. So yeah, props. You've done amazing and over those years. And my question for you now is like, how would you say your creativity has evolved over that time, or how do you still stay inspired and not feel like you've kind of maximized your creativity, if that is even a thought that goes to your mind?
Totally. That is a great question. Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in a rut, and like I'm kind of feeling like I'm doing the same thing over again. And for me, the best thing I can do is taking a step back and not looking at Instagram. I don't want to look at Pinterest. I don't want to look at what everyone else is doing. I want my own original creativity. And it really helps when I'm taking a step back, I'm shooting somewhere new, the lighting is different, and I'm really connecting with my clients. I get so inspired just by connecting with my clients, finding out who they are, what they like to do. And that is giving me new ideas literally right on the spot of like poses we can do and like different kinds of photos. But when I feel like really stuck, I just need to take a step back. It helps so much if I have a little break from shooting, which is kind of rare in the summer. But coming in with a fresh mind, there is nothing like it. And I just feel so stoked every time I get to come back.
Could you give us an example just to bring that a bit more to life of when you've spoken to a couple, and so you were feeling maybe a bit like you're doing the same thing, but you've spoken to the couple, you've asked them a few questions, and then that's got you creatively inspired, and then you turn that into a pose, you said, like maybe even something that you bring to the wedding day. Is there an example where you could share a bit of a background to that? And then if you have the photo, we could add it in later. I think that would be really cool. But no pressure on that one. Just love to hear the kind of mindset and thought process of that.
Totally. Something the first thing that is coming to my mind is like one time I asked a couple. I always am talking to my clients literally the whole shoot, like just continually getting to know them, and like I always want to like get their vibe. And some couples are a lot more goofy, some are more serious, and they're more like chill. And so I asked a couple. I was like, "What do you guys like to do on the weekends together? What's a date night?" And they're like, "Honestly, we love staying at home and watching a movie, and like that's it." So then I got them talking about their favorite takeout, and I was like, "Okay, well, let's actually get you guys sitting, and I want you to show me like what it looks like you guys are cuddling on the couch." And so now we're like in this field, they're like sitting and they're cuddling in the grass, and I'm like, "Okay, now like kind of grab each other's hands." And from there, just like created such a beautiful moment, and that was like really represented them. We don't need to be like running through the field. They don't need to be picking them up, twirling them around. Like that's not them. And that's not every couple. And so, yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind. And I just like loved those photos, and it was really cute. And just like those quiet more moments where they're just like sitting and like that is who they were as a couple. So that's like the most important for me to capture. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. When you first started out, like think about Miranda in 2018, 2019, when you're first starting out, what is one piece of advice that you wish you knew then?
A great question. So as we know, I really just like went all in. I knew this is what I wanted to do. And for me, if I know I want to do something, I am doing freaking everything to get everything done. And so I would say in that time period, I was working 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. at night. And I was making myself available at all times for my clients. I had absolutely no boundaries. I was just working every second I could, which in hindsight, it helped me grow a lot faster. But in reality, I really should have set better boundaries of being like, okay, I'm only going to edit 9 to 5 or like 9 to 3 and like set times for emails. And if my client calls me at 11 a.m. on a Sunday, I will say, let's schedule a call on Monday during your lunch break. These are my available hours. And I would always just like really stress myself out. And it was just like not good, not healthy. I realized like when you set better boundaries with your clients, they're actually going to respect you more and things are going to get done way better. And like even things like I was sending out wedding sneak peeks by 8 a.m. the next morning after weddings. I would stay up like all night editing. And I'm like, although obviously, yes, it's so nice to get sneak peeks right away, I can wait until 4 p.m. the day after or whatever to really take my time, put in quality work and send those over. And like all of my clients have just like appreciated it so much more. So I would just say it's not that serious. I can calm down and set better boundaries because it is a job and you don't need to work 24/7.
Well said. Great. So having been a photographer then for 6 years, what would you say sets apart a great photographer from a good one? Like what's that extra 5 or 10% that helps somebody like really be at the top of their game, or what's got you to the top of your game?
Totally. I think it's one thing to take beautiful photos. That is amazing. Beautiful photos, great. It's a whole other thing to really connect with your clients and feel like your client, like you are so invested in your clients and invested in their love story. And like, especially on wedding days, I want them to feel like they can depend on me for everything. I will always be fixing their train. I will tell them if they have a hair here. And I am always feeling like I'm getting to know them at all times. It's all about them. It's not about me. My ego is out the door. I will always be helping and being there for my clients. And I think they've really noticed that and just making them feel really comfortable taking photos. I always say, I just want it to be a fun experience. Taking photos should never be stressful. Like should be the most fun part ever. And it's not just something you should just be checking off your to-do list. So I feel like the biggest feedback I've gotten from my clients is that they've just like had so much fun and I made them feel so comfortable. And to me, that's like so much more important because when you have a happy memory behind taking those photos, you're just going to love the photos regardless because you've had such a good experience taking them. And that is like unbeatable to me.
Totally. Well said. With your presentation at ARC, would you be able to share a little bit about what the audience can expect from that presentation and what you're most looking forward to about presenting this November?
Totally. So my talk is about taking your business to the next level, starting your business, taking it up to the next level. I was able to grow my business so fast, and I went through a lot of trial and error, and I'm going to be sharing like actionable steps you can take to keep continuously growing your business. If people feel stuck, this is such a great spot. Or if people are just starting out, this is also like something great that they can use. And I'm going to be like showing like real statistics, like how I've increased my pricing, how I've like booked more clients, etc. And yeah, I think it'll be amazing. I'm very excited, and it's crazy that I've been able to get here. And I just want to share like that journey and how I really believe everyone else can obviously get here and get to where they want to be in their career. Everything is possible. So I just wanted to share about that.
Awesome. Can you share the benefit of going to a conference? Because I know 2019 ARC, which was the last time we ran a conference, was one of the first conferences you went to, or the first time that you attended ARC. Could you tell us a little bit about that experience and how that has shaped your journey?
Yes, absolutely. So in 2019, I attended ARC, and I had just heard about it in 2018 when I kind of started, and it literally changed my life. It changed my career. I loved it so much. It's like the most amazing atmosphere. There really are. I find it hard to explain how amazing it is, because you're in a room of all these people who want to get together. They're all photographers, and just being in that room is like the most inspiring thing. And I knew it made me want to be a way better wedding photographer. It made me be like, I can do this. Everything is attainable. I learned so much. And also, I think one of the most valuable things is I met so many photographers that I'm still friends with now there. Having a community is so important to lean on and just talk to. Like, it's a very niche thing to be a wedding photographer and be able to connect with people who are doing exactly what you do. And having that community is like also another one of the most important things to grow as like a human and as a business and things like that. So it's really just like the most amazing thing.
Awesome. I'm so glad you were there. And I didn't realize when we first met, it was like an ARC hang. We were playing ping pong and stuff like that. I didn't realize that was your first conference. And I'm so glad that you were there. And for someone listening to this, if they've never been to a conference, or there's a lot of introverted photographers out there as well, right? Like they just shoot in a different way, but they want to be part of a community, or they want to learn from yourself, but they're a bit nervous about being solo at a conference. Do you have any advice for them and what kind of the atmosphere, or what would make them feel more comfortable about attending a conference like this?
Totally. First of all, just know I used to be the most shy person on earth. I literally would not talk to anyone. And the only thing that brought me out of my shell was photography. It allowed me to like be confident and start talking to people. And that's literally what we have to do for our job. And at ARC, just know there is so many other people going by themselves. And there are so many other people in your same boat. And anyone can come up and talk to me. I am more than happy to come talk to anybody and like introduce them to more people. I'm also not going to know everybody there, and like I want to make new friends and talk to new people. I think it's a risk you can take to come and go out of your comfort zone, but it will pay off so much, and you will be so glad that you went. And you just have to get out of your comfort zone to grow as a business and as a person. So it's definitely a risk worth taking for sure.
Well said. Yeah, and that feeling only lasts a little while. By the time you sit down or you enter the room, there's activations, there's different ways in which you can connect with people. There's the vendors. We have different partners like PicTime and Fujifilm, and you can get to know them. And there's loads of ways for people to connect, and the people that you sit next to will have things. I don't want to give too much away, but we'll have ways in which you can connect with other photographers. So if you're on the fence for any event, even, or workshop, totally get out of your comfort zone and try it out. Because similarly, I've met so many people that when I first moved to Vancouver, coming from London, England, sat next to some people, And now they're close friends of mine. And one of the people I sat next to was Jennifer Moher, who is now speaking.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
back then she wasn't the Jennifer Moher that we know now, right? And she wasn't doing these all workshops. She was trying to be a photographer, well, like us, learning, sitting in the audience, learning from the speakers. And similarly with yourself and your journey, what I love sharing with a lot of people, and I'm going to say it now, is that you were sitting in the audience in 2019, and now 5 years later, you're one of the keynote speakers and doing a workshop. So cool. I think things can happen pretty quickly, even with a COVID break that we kind of were forced upon. And things move pretty fast, and they're moving even faster. So if that's in somebody's kind of future and they want to be an educator as well, then it's a good idea to come to something like this.
I was going to say too, join the Facebook group, post in the Facebook group who's going solo, have people comment like, oh, I'm here solo, and start messaging people. You can message people beforehand if like you are that nervous. Go and connect with someone beforehand. Go meet up for coffee before, show up, and then meet other people together. Everyone there is so friendly and so nice. Just all know we're all there for the same thing. So really, you will just meet so many people.
Definitely. Awesome, Miranda. Well, is there anything that you are most looking forward to outside of the conference over the next few months? What's coming up for you in the future? And is there anything that you wanted to share with the people listening?
Oh, so exciting. I am finishing off my season with 2 weddings in Mexico. So that is like my favorite way to end a wedding season, is on the beach. So I'm very excited. I have a bit of a vacation in between 2. So that I would say is what I would be most excited for sure.
Awesome. Miranda, thanks so much for being on the ARC Creative Podcast. I can't wait to see you in person at ARC in November. And yeah, all the best for the rest of the season, and have a lovely cocktail on the beach in Mexico.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. It will be here before we know it.
Thank you for tuning in. Miranda's journey and reflections remind us of the power of community, creativity, and authenticity in wedding photography. If today's episode inspired you, join us at ARC to experience it firsthand. Connect with Miranda online and get ready to see her live at ARC for more insights that will spark your creative evolution. My name's Sachin Kona. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Peace.